Hi everyone, it's Danielle, and I am finally doing the requested video regarding the inks I use and about my time bar up here. So every day my pages are essentially the same. I have the time bar at the top. I do start with hour 1, so this right here is midnight, and this is 1 a.m., this is 1 a.m. So it's kind of a continuous line if you think about it. I put my time up here. The blue are the hours I sleep. The orange are the hours that I am at work. I am doing the Bible reading chronologically, and October 1st is actually my start date. So this is where I put my daily Bible reading. Again, this is where I put my steps, and the steps I usually go back at the end of the month, beginning of the next month, to fill in for the previous month. I record gratitude daily. I don't have it here. I do it a lot of days. Let's see. Here we go. So I'll put the time as sunrise and sunset. It's not accurate to the minute, but it's close enough that you can get an idea and that it is fun to kind of see that. I will put over here my schedule. I do see patients, so obviously I don't put their full names in here. So I will put there who I am seeing in clinic. Here I will put any additional to-dos, any things I want to remember, what I did throughout the day. So not only does this serve as my planner, it also serves as a record of my life. I do track weather. So I have a variety. For instance, here I have something being sent to me from Pembroke Papers on Etsy, so that's what the envelope means. I was just enjoying listening to music, so that's what the little notes mean. I listen to music all the time, but this is more of the intentional. I'm just sitting, enjoying listening to music. I keep track of what I eat. Keep track of water. Again, water is, I'm just not good at it. I do keep track of mood. So that's kind of how I do it. Easter's a special day for, well, Christians. It's just a special day. So I didn't record much here, and for me that is okay because this day is about Jesus. So I had to draw that open tomb, and quite pleased with how that drew out, or how that came out. Second year that I've drawn that, so, and I've really enjoyed doing that. Now, setting this up, it does look time consuming, and it probably is time consuming. If you look, I already have these set up or written out for next week, but I don't have my Bible reading in here. Part of my daily planning for the week is I will go through and I will write down the Bible reading, and then the weekdays usually is when I have something scheduled. So I'll put a dividing line here. So this is my schedule and this is my to-dos. That is actually new for me. I used to put everything in one list, and it's not that it didn't work. It worked just fine, but I would put timed things and other items here. So it works. I'm enjoying this layout, so that's what I'm using right now. And that's what I love about the Hobo. It gives you structure. I have every day in here for the year, but it also gives me a lot of freedom, so I can change every day, every week if I want to. Now, this I feel comfortable drawing ahead of time, and the reason why I do, this is my second year using the Hobo, both for planning, both for recording memories, which I'll get to that in just a moment. And all last year I did this and I loved it. Now I changed this up a little bit. Last year I did not have the gratitude in my little Hobo. I had it in my cousin, but not in here. And since I've decided to make this kind of my primary of record keeping, and that I changed this from water, so that I used to have water here with the check boxes here, and put gratitude there, and just did the water stamp. I also had a little box up there for mood, and I took that out to give more room for gratitude and just put a little circle as a reminder to record mood. Now, there was one day I forgot to put my circles in, or I just missed the pages or something. And I just drew in the mood. And one of these days I'll go back and put the circles in. Maybe, or maybe I'll just put a sticker. I don't know. It varies. So, because you'll see sometimes I do put in stickers just because it was a fun day, special day. So I will do that. So what I will do when I set this up is I have 2 meetings at work every week. They're an hour and a half long. I'm not allowed to work on work things while I'm there. I have to pay attention. But they are long meetings, and I'm used to playing with my hands. So what I have done is I will take this to work, and see, I haven't even done May yet, but I'll take this to work and I will just set up however many days I get. I don't worry about how many days I get, but I'll just go and set this up for the future as many days as I can. Looks like I only got through April this time. So I will go ahead and write all of this out. And then the other thing I will do is I use a close to my heart stamp block, acrylic block. Now you can use any size. My tip on stamping, if you have the luxury of having multiple blocks, you want the block as close to the size of stamp you're going to use. So I use my Studio L2E stamp. It is well loved, as you can see. And I just put it on here, and when the stamp's not sticky anymore, sometimes it'll feel like it loses its stickiness. If that happens, just wash it really well with dish soap and water and rinse it, and then the stickiness will come back for you. The ink I like to use for my Hobo, the ink I don't want to bleed through. Sometimes I do want ink to bleed through, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But if I don't want ink to bleed through, then I will use the Prima Marketing chalk edgers. I actually prefer the Prima Marketing chalk ink to the Versa Magic chalk ink. Now, I like the Versa Magic. I like the colors. I'm not complaining about it at all. But my preference for this in my Hobo is it feels like a less of a residue, and it feels like it smudges less, and it's a little quicker to dry. So that's why I prefer this. I prefer this gray color. That way the attention isn't on my water, because the water's for me. It's not for, well, this whole thing is for me. The water is for me. I don't need it to be a bold black. So I like this gray color, but you can use any color you want. I just stamp the ink, and I make sure that it's on there. Looks like I'm going to have to replace this pad soon. And then I just stamp in the corner. And I'm not perfect. It's okay with me. So I just put it down there, and voila. And when I stamp the water bottle and when I stamp the circle, I will do many pages at once. I'll usually do 1 or 2 months at a time. So that's something else I'll work on tomorrow for my daily plan or my weekly planning when I set things up. The other thing that I do stamping wise is my monthly pages. So one of the new things I've started using for my monthly pages is stamping the month here. And I actually use this stamp from Foxy Fix. It's part of their Bujo collection. So I use this, love this stamp, and it's another one well loved that I use all the time. And I use a block for it that fits it. And I have a goal each month, an actual measurable goal. I did this many days. And I don't think my walking was this bad this day. I think I just, when I was on vacation, didn't go back and finish the last week and a half. So, but I did walk. There were only a couple of days in March that I missed. So it's not a perfect setup, but it does work out. Same way with February. I will need to look at my journal and mark off the days that I actually journaled. It didn't do as well as I wanted to do, but at least it reminds me all month that this is my goal. Now, I had written out originally to write routines, but there's no way to measure that. So that's why I went back and did journal daily. So that's how I've been using these pages. I like this. Now, if you know about the Hobo, there is an area up here above the month that says coming up, February. So what I've been doing is taking a washi stamp, different sizes, shapes, and I've been stamping over that. So I can add the washi without really adding bulk, even though I put this here, the tag here, but it covers up this. And then I use the month to keep the month there. So I've been liking how that's been turning out. The other thing that is a staple for my Hobo is actually this green stencil. I use the blue one all the time as well. I use it to record movies and other shapes like that that comes with that stencil. I use this tracker all the time. Now this is the Hobonichi planner. This is the English version. So these boxes are not the exact same size as the original Japanese version. They are a little bit bigger. So you have to pay attention when marking your boxes and be aware that they are a little bit bigger. I don't know why. I just prefer check boxes in the Hobo. I use dots for task if I'm using something else for planning. That's just me. That's what I like. That's what I do. The other thing I use all the time are the stars, the 5-star rating. So anytime I watch a movie that I haven't seen before, anytime anything like that that I want to restaurants that I want to remember a rating for, I will use the star system and include it here. And that's what I'll use the blue stencil for, is to make a note of what the particular activity is. So here's the blue stencil. So it's better when it's not upside down and backwards. So there we go. So I use the movie all the time. I use the airplane, so I'll use the music note. I do use those. Sometimes I'll use the knife and fork. It varies. It depends on my mood. The other inks that I do use StazOn. So if I know that I'm going to be doing a coloring, that I'm going to be blending with colored pencils or using water for watercolor, I do use StazOn. My recommendation for StazOn, I have 2 StazOn ink pads in jet black. I can actually tell them apart by the label here. And the reason why I can tell them apart is on my old stamp pad, the jet black label is worn out. It looks worn out. This is actually my new one. So I wouldn't use this one in my Hobo, but my other one that is worn out, a little drier, I will use in my Hobo, and it is perfect. If you use a light touch, you can use the StazOn ink, let it dry, and then you can watercolor, color blend, anything like that with your pencils, and not, unlike the chalk ink, not have any of it bleed into your image. So I like that. Sometimes, I've talked about before, I do like bleed through, and the reason why I like bleed through is I've stamped a bunch of images in here that I will go back and color. And sometimes I will just use the same picture and stamp it on both sides of the page. Here's one. So this little girl, I will use VersaFine, or I will use the Memento, and I'll use a heavier hand with both of these. And really, for me, it's whichever one's on top, so I'm not particularly picky in that regard. And I will stamp an image and then fill in any missing details on the back side. Now I have 2 pictures to color. And here's one I colored. I color these when I travel. I do travel a lot for work professionally, and I don't like to take a lot of bulk with me. So at that time, my Hobo serves as a coloring book, something to keep me occupied and engaged when I'm traveling. So this book serves many purposes for me. Now also on my daily pages, the other absolute must, pens. Pens vary. I love pens. I use them. I love fountain pens, ballpoint pens, gel pens, rollerball, you name it, I love them. I also love pencils, so I have a variety of pencils. But the staples for my book, the Pitt Artist Pen, the Faber-Castell, this is actually the medium. I meant to grab the extra small. But the Pitt Artist Pens, the extra small is what I use to draw this every day. And I love these pens. They are perfect for this kind of work. Now, some people actually write with these, and they are their writing pens, but I use them for that. The Pitt Artist pens come in multiple sizes. If you look, they will tell you what each letter stands for and the comparable pen tip size. For coloring in my hours, which you can see I need to finish up the last day and a half here, I use the Staedtler pens, the Staedtler fine liners, and I use this orange and blue. And I actually bought a small set of Staedtler fine liners that comes in a case, not the plastic case like you get at Target, but it's actually a blue case. And what I have done is I've taken the pens and I have put in there the colors that I would use in my hobo planning or anything else. I do use a couple of other colors, and the reason why I use a couple of other colors is because of activities I'm involved in. So if you see here, you see a purple and you see a green. So I had left work early this day because I needed to pick my son up, so I wasn't at work, but I did have 2 professional meetings. So purple is for my NATCO, green is for my UNOS. So if I'm spending time on them outside of work hours, I'll keep track of that as well. So when I travel for NATCO, the days that I have the board meeting or whatever meeting I'm attending, my hours will be purple instead of orange. So that's what I use those for. Another thing is a pencil. This is one of my favorite pencils, and actually I love pencils in general. For the 0.5, I don't think the Zebra can be beat. It's one my dad got me when I was in high school, and I still love how the Zebra writes. This is one of my favorites for writing the details. So using in the stencils, writing my envelope, drawing the headphones, things like that. This is what I like. My preference for doing these details is 0.3. Now, when I'm drawing the weather or filling in water, I can use 0.3, 0.5. Honestly, I don't have any 0.7s. I do prefer finer tip, so that's just me. That's just my preference. I do write small. It's a habit I tried breaking, didn't work very well. And then the other thing I love pen gems. I have a lot of pen gems, different colors, and sometimes I will switch them out to match my books, and sometimes I will switch them out because that's the color I want to carry. I like the Coletto, the High-Tech C pen tips. You can see it's needle fine, and I love how those write. So those are my favorite writing if I'm not using a fountain pen. If I'm using a fountain pen, I like the extra fines, the smaller nibs. I love the TWSBI, the Kavecos. I do have a couple of Lammies, but the TWSBIs and the Kavecos are my staples. I do have a Pilot Decimo that I just love. That's another one that I will use a lot when I'm using fountain pens. Fountain pens I like best when I'm writing. So not when I'm jotting. They're fine for jotting, but for me to get my full enjoyment out of my fountain pens, I love it when I'm writing, when I'm journaling, things like that. So you're not going to see as much fountain pen use in here because this is more jotting. My other hobo where I actually journal, which doesn't get shown too often, that's where I do my actual writing. Now, also with my hobo, I change out the covers frequently, quite a bit actually. So the other day I had switched into a number 3 Foxy Fix, the Rowena leather. Loved it. It's great. But my mood changes, my need changes, my desire changes. So you will see many covers over the years to come. These Foxy Fix pockets, if you have not seen these yet, these are just amazing. They're clear, they stick beautifully, they're bendable so they don't add stiffness to the leather. And I just used it to stick in a card here. I was actually going to stick some other things in there, but that card was laying there, so I stuck it there. The other thing is I have this card in the back, and for my tracking, I keep my notes there, so that's what that is. If you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully I answered all the questions. If there's anything else you would like me to do, just let me know. Thanks. Bye.